So forgiveness is another very difficult virtue to develop, and it also has very many stages. Obviously, the first stage is just being able to say, "I forgive somebody for something that they did," and that kind of forgiveness at that very basic level is is really um, is really just a way to help us individually put something aside, put all the feelings and the emotions that were attached to some negative experience aside and move on with our own lives. So that's one level of forgiveness. But later on, as you progress spiritually, as your humility and ego are being practiced, rejection of ego are being practiced, you will realize that at some point you will realize that you do not have the right to forgive anybody. And here you can see where your ego and humility, rejection of ego and humility have come into play. You come to a realization that who am I? Who am I to forgive somebody because that person has done something? God will dish out karmic justice that that person requires. So you are really nobody to say, I forgive or I don't forgive. That is not ours, not in our hands. So that is, again, see, it's like a spiraling thing. So humility, rejection of ego, forgiveness, it's all keeps spiraling up, and it gets deeper and deeper and more profound as you grow. So at some point, as you continue to grow, if we're talking on the topic of forgiveness, as you continue to grow, as you continue to put some negative experience behind you, and as you try to get closer to God, get closer to understanding, get closer to the rejection of concept of self, as you become aware that everything that has happened in your life, everything, all the people that you have met, all the things that have happened, is all it's an incredible great plan by Dador Mazda, by God. And everything has happened in order to bring you to a position where you have now some sort of implicit faith in God, some sort of implicit humility towards God, and some incredible desire and devotion to move closer to God. And as these emotions develop in you, um, you will someday realize that, oh my goodness, whatever happened, and to put me on this path, whatever negative experience happened to put me on this path, has been the reason that I am so close to God. That has been the reason that I have advanced spiritually. And you will realize then that what real forgiveness is, because you will then ask God to forgive that person. And why will you ask God to forgive that person? Is because as you move forward on that path of becoming more saintly, becoming developing more of the virtues of the seven of necessments, you will realize that there has been an incredible contract between you and whoever, one person or a group of people, whatever, have hurt you. That there's some kind of a spiritual contract that put you on the right path, but they are bearing the burden. If this sounds too crazy, if you just look at the story of Jesus and Judah, who who many Christians believe that Judah is a greater soul than Jesus. And why? Because he is the one that ultimately, you know, um, put Jesus in that position and gave him up to the soldiers who finally uh, put Jesus on the cross, and the crucifixion and all the torture in many ways began. Now, here you can see that if this didn't happen, destiny would not have come through, and the God's will to have people um, see Jesus for who he was would not have happened. And so here you see that these two souls had an incredible contract long before their birth to move one forward for the purpose of God's will, to move all humanity forward on the path of spiritual alchemy. So these are really deep concepts. And, we're not expected to be able to become that uh, person right away. But the idea is to keep it in your mind and know that you have to work towards something and not just sort of quit your journey at the very first step and say, "Oh, now I've succeeded," because we have a long, long way to go before we succeed.